Hello and welcome to Kion Lab. In this video we are going to discuss attributes in database management system. Attributes are with respect to entity relationship model. We had a definition many a times we had discussed. Attribute is an entity. An entity is represented by a set of attributes, that is descriptive properties possessed by all members of the entity set. So many a times we had a discussion. Attributes are entities identify its attribute. Domain, the set of permitted values for each domain. So that is what is called as the domain of a particular attribute. Attribute is represented by a column in the database management system. So when you have your ER diagram ready with you, attribute is nothing but a column name and it can have its domain. Whatever DDL statement you have written about this particular attribute, the whole column with respect to each record, it will accept the same value. So domain of customer name is all character strings and domain of loan number is set of alphanumeric strings starting from L. So all the column values will accept the same domain or same data type what you have described in data definition language. So it is represented something like this. Entity can be represented attribute and value. So it is been represented something like this. In this example, this is your attribute name ID and this is actually content which are going to stored at that particular location. So you can observe here something like this. It can be represented in tabular format. This is entity customer. Entity is nothing but a table name and these are the attributes. They are this customer is identified by these attributes: name, ID and address. And these are actual values X, Y, Z. In double quotes, those mentioned, those are the values, or this has been called as the row or it has been called as a record. C00 alphanumeric and Wall Street string. So this is attribute can be represented or shown something like this. Now attributes, there are two types of attributes: simple and composite. Now simple is a simple attribute that cannot be subdivided into subparts. So example is account number of a customer with respect to a bank, roll number of a student, enrollment number of a student, university ID of a student. So it cannot be further divided. That has been called as a simple attribute. And composite attribute is subdivided into subparts. So composite attributes can be divided into subparts. Here the example: name is divided into first name, middle name, last name. So you can have one more example. So simple attribute is nothing but ID, roll number, then you have account number. So all these are the simple attributes, and composite attributes are name. Now name can be again divided into first name, middle name, last name. So this has been called as the composite attribute. Again we can have one more example: address. Address, it can be have city, state, PIN number. Again city can be divided into road. It can be subdivided to many things. So this has been called as the composite attributes. So here you can observe the example: composite attribute, name and address, and these are the components of the attribute: first name, middle name, last name, city, street, state, postal code, street number, street name, apartment number. Next we can have attribute, how it what type of values can be stored in that attribute, that particular cell of a attribute. So it can be a single valued or it can be a multiple valued. Single value, only a single value can be stored. Single value account number, single value. Multiple value phone numbers. So here we can have the example of data inheritance we have discussed in the data model. So phone numbers. So a person can have many phone numbers, landline, office number, home number. So these can be a multi-valued attributes. Then one more attribute we have a derived attributes. Now derived attributes can be derived from the given attribute value. For example, age. Age can be derived from a given date of birth. So here we can see the ER diagram with composite, multi-valued and derived attribute. So you can observe here you have the entity customer. This is entity. Now this entity can be converted into tabular format, which contains attribute number 1, attribute number 2 and attribute number 3, attribute number 4, attribute number 5. So here you can observe composite attribute. The example, name can be again subdivided into first name, middle name, last name. Here we have one more attribute. This underlined attribute name is represented as a primary key, that with the help of that attribute this customer is uniquely identified. Phone number is multi-valued attribute. That means a person or a customer can have more than one phone numbers. And age is the derived attribute. From the given date of birth, there is no need to enter the age of the customer. It can be derived from the given date of birth. So this is the example of this attribute. So this is altogether what we have discussed today about the attributes. That is two types of attribute, simple attribute and composite attribute, and depending on the value stored in the attribute cell, that means again categorized into two parts, single valued attribute and multi-valued attributes, and one more category is derived attribute. So in the derived attribute there is no need to store the value from the given attribute value. It can be derived. So this is all together we have discussed the attributes with respect to entity relationship diagram in database management system. So this is all together for today's video. If you like my video, you can share it as well as you can subscribe it, and keep watching. Thank you.